Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. This is episode 406. Shout out to everybody who's been tuning in, who's been supporting, who's been a part of this process, who's been a part of this movement uh, in healing, in growing oneself, in becoming our best versions, and enjoying the process. One thing I want to keep in mind, I want everybody to keep in mind is that, this dating process, in my opinion, should be a pleasurable process, a fun process, a positive process. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be difficult. I don't want a situation that supposedly yields love, communication, and sharing, interconnectedness. I don't liken that to struggle, frustration, irritation, anxiety, fear. Those are opposite. So if love is this beautiful thing, soulmates, connectivity, intimacy, this is such a beautiful thing. Marriages, weddings, engagements, right? Professing one's love, right? Merging yourself and your energy with somebody else. If that's supposedly such a positive thing, why should dating look like an obstacle course? Why should dating look like American Ninja, or you crawling through the mud with spikes and broken glass, and walking on hot coal? Why should it feel like that? Those two are opposite. So I think if it is a struggle, if it is frustrating, if it is difficult, I think we're on the wrong track, or our perspective is off. Our, you know, the way that we look at things is off. But it can be adjusted. It can be adjusted. So in our focus, in our journey, that's the metric we can check it against, right? If it's feeling crazy, if it's feeling a little too scary, if it's feeling similar, right, in the rotation of things, the toxic cycles and things like that. Not to say that we shouldn't have any emotional connection to what we're doing, or that we should detach from our past situations, but we should not be in a space where, because our past few dating experiences were whack, that we shouldn't be projecting that into the future. Um, Prime example: the first job you ever had, with that mindset, you would never be at the job you're currently at. The part of your career you're currently in, you would never reach that point if you had been proven true, or you had that similar mindset back at your first job. We might have had our first, I know I started working like 14 years old. If I had my first job still today, I'd be kind of pissed right now. So with that, if it just shows how erroneous and irrational the mindset is, that okay, because this is what happened before, that it's destined to happen in the future. It's destined to never get better than that. The status quo is going to stay the same. I'm going to keep running into these 50% people and never reach that 100 mark, or never reach that person that I'm after, or the person who is congruent with my standards. If that's the game, I'm not playing that. I will gracefully bow out of that game. I don't want no parts of that. So, my theory, as far as a basis, right? Because dating can be frustrating for a lot of reasons. So I can't cover all of them, but I always look for the common denominator and the baseline, right? Wow, what about it makes it so frustrating. And I narrowed it down. When we think about why is dating so frustrating, I narrowed it down to a perceived lack of control. So the fear of being out of control. When you think about babies, right? What do they say? The fear of falling, right? And then as they grow, the fear of not knowing where their parents are, and not being able to, locate, or the security, right? Not being able to have the security. A lot of those fears stay consistent across time. The lack, or the perceived lack, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, but the perceived lack of control is, for me, a common denominator, or a baseline to why dating is so frustrating. Because let's think of the process, right? You don't control any of the results in any tangible form. So you go on dating apps, you meet people in person, you go on social media, friend of a friend, mutual friend, events, connect with people, right? Randomly. You really don't, you really don't know who's who and what's what. Then they could look like the right person and be acting and turn into somebody else later. They could not be the right person. They could be offensive. They could be possessive. They could be insecure, jealous. They can have elements of themselves that are dormant that you don't see, and then they pop up. They can have drama. They can be interconnected with child's mother, old relationships, and they have all these ties to other women or whatever. So it looks like just a minefield, like just sort of this random sphere of, just like a roulette table. Just we gonna spin, and I don't know. Hopefully, I roll up on something that's nice. Hopefully, that something connects. And there's no control in that. There's no control in that. And what's more is the lack of control persists even when you connect with what you think is the right person. You may enact certain controlling behaviors, but you can't control them either. You may have phone passwords, location apps, spies on the ground, satellite access, snitches, all on this partner. Still can't control their actions. So the fear of lack of control persists throughout the entire process. So that means that the fear has to be addressed, or the happiness will never come to pass, even with the right person. Even with the right person, it will never end. Until you gain control over the fear mechanism, you will be controlled by it, and it will never end, no matter how many status changes that you find yourself achieving. And that's the biggest point, because I think a lot of times we get this feeling like, okay, that soulmate or that next person is gonna complete us, or it's gonna heal us, or it's gonna fix us, or it's gonna at least be a distraction so I don't have to face myself, fix myself, grow myself. And that companionship that I should be generating within, I need it now. Because it's one thing, it's great to have friends, great to have a husband, a wife, great to have people in your life. When there's a need, a pervasive need that controls your actions, that's a different story. And I would argue that fear of lack of control over the dating process is false. And the way that I would explain that is, you do have more control than you know, but the focus is on the elements that you don't control. So, for example, we have control over the healing of self or the ignorance of self. So if we have a toxic dating cycle, back to back relationships, toxic, we have control over whether we are ignorant to ourselves or being the common denominator in all of those situations, and how we acted, how our thinking process connected us to that person and things like that, the levels of awareness, or we have control over acknowledging. So we can remain ignorant, continue the cycle, and the cycle is going to continue. The saga will continue because a lot of people are on that cycle, in that cycle, back to back. It's almost cosmic. Because then you think, okay, well, for somebody with no control or the fear of the lack of control, I'm sure pulling the same type back to back, how they do that? How you doing that? You mean to tell me state to state, city to city, there's only one type of person? You mean to tell me that somebody hacked your account and sent it to all the insecure jokers, and they got a support group. They got a support group of just jealous, possessive, non-communicative jokers, and they meet every week, and they done hacked your account, found your location, and now they basically bought homes within like a mile of your house in a circle, so that whenever you meet somebody, it's somebody in the group, and they all got the same traits. They done found you, they locked you down, they got you surrounded. That seems very targeted. So it's not as random as you think, right? We can argue that, like, this is not as random as you may think. So again, choices. Choice to say, I acknowledge this or I don't. Now, if you do, the next step from there in acknowledging, damn, I keep doing this. I got a tendency to do this. It came from, okay, I know when it came from, and I know that the inciting events and things like that. So now I'm tracking. Okay, I keep doing that. That brought me that. When I met this person, I was in this space, I had this mentality, that brought me that person. Okay, getting it. There's the getting of it. But self-awareness is nothing without action. So it's not just about, I get it, I understand it. The next step from there is now I have to work against it and work towards the healing, the growth, the patching up of the voids that needed those types of people. Once you start to do that, you don't think that as your energy and healing of the psyche and happiness goes up, that dating population isn't going to shift? Because and I would challenge anybody to talk to me about any relationship that you've been in. I without a doubt, put your money on me. I will show you with dizzying accuracy how the elements within you and the elements within them were connected. The commonalities between you, every relationship, I ain't been wrong yet. Every relationship, they are a reflection of certain elements within you that you carry. Just like I always talk about The rescuers are, if you're a rescuer mentality, you're a high level giver. You give above, this is baseline, you give above baseline. And you lead with that. So a high level giver won't safely attract a high level giving person. This is high level givers connect with high level takers. Because if you are giving without needing anything back, without reciprocation, that's perfect for somebody who's going to take without reciprocation. That's the match. We talk about chemistry. Chemistry ain't always positive. You can have chemistry with some effed up situations, but they always match on some level. That's why when you date, people that, sometimes it can be tempting to put it all on the ex. The ex was crazy. The ex lost their damn mind. The ex is abusive. And okay, that may be true, but what parts of you kept you there? What parts of you kept you there? There had to be a commonality, whether that was brokenness, abandonment, abuse, neglect, some sort of connective tissue that causes you to be there and causes you to intersect. So if you're right here and everybody you attract is a certain way, when you get up here, that has to change. The elements don't attract. The reason I say that is because even if the giver or the rescuer makes a game change to cause an audible picks somebody who's a giver, you, no matter how much you try, you remain unhealed, you will self-sabotage that situation because you don't resonate. You haven't healed the parts of you that need takers, because you won't be comfortable allowing somebody to give to you because you think your value is in the giving. So you will block the blessing until you even out and balance your intrinsic value and look at it for what it is, as not to be intimately or inextricably connected to your ability to provide high levels of support to somebody who's not reciprocating. That becomes the issue. Now, if you're giving, if you got a partner and y'all are, healthy, and you giving in a healthy way and you're pouring into each other, that's the ultimate situation. But if you're giving and the second they try to reciprocate, you're not accepting of it, or you're not trusting of it enough to accept it, we're off balance, and again, we're imbalanced again. And that fear creeps in again, because the fear of, okay, if you start giving to me, you're going to view me, you're not going to love me because you're going to view me as not valuable. So I have to over deliver and over give and be over generous, if that makes sense. So in this process, we are looking to heal the parts of us that are tied to control. But you only reach true control through letting go. Now that sounds like an oxymoron, paradoxical, but the true control comes from letting go. What do I mean by that? Well, as you let go of, I have to date right now, I gotta find the soulmate, I need somebody else external, I need somebody else to fix it. Come on, companionship, I'm lonely, I need let that go and fix and focus on oneself. You change the population that you're attracting. So as you level up and do that, you're literally changing the dating pool without trying to. And the effort that you've been putting in to change people, to date for potential, to push people, to shame people, to nudge people, to nag people into becoming something else, is all for no reason when all you have to do is heal oneself and focus on oneself and reach the level where you are happy enough and at peace enough to care less who shows up. And that's when they show up. When you're not looking at that shot clock and not looking at that biological stopwatch, that's when they show up. When there's no anxiety, fear, attachment, or bracing oneself for impact, or looking for somebody to mess up, or waiting for somebody to show that they're really not worthy of your time. That's when they show up. When you're able to accomplish that. That's the end goal. When you could care less whatsoever. And I don't mean care less meaning you're trying to trick yourself into acting like you don't want to date nobody, or you don't want a soulmate or something. You know, not that angry, arms folded, I could care less. I'm talking about a genuine, you almost forgot you single type of vibe. To where you ain't looking at calendars, every birthday ain't triggering, you looking at proposals and engagements on Instagram, and you genuinely happy for these people because you know you up next at whatever time the universe and all the alignment sees fit. You see what I'm saying? To when you can legitimately visualize yourself being with that person and come back to reality and not hate reality. That's how you know you at that stage. When you can be so ingrained in your purpose and in changing and helping society with your specific gifts that you don't even realize that you're without something, because you know who you are. You know what you are comprised of. You know your ingredients. You know your purpose. You know your destiny. You know your energy field is worthy of protection. So you are enforcing boundaries to protect it, because you know at a certain point, you will welcome somebody in, but only somebody who comes within the criteria and the standards that you set, without you bending the bar, lowering the bar, or breaking the bar altogether, because you have such a value internal. You focus on your own value so much, realize its true potential, that you're not willing to let anybody in who's not that. You know, who's not your mirror reflective image, energy wise. Why would you? They're going to take you down. So we have to get to a point where we value what's in here so much that we're not letting nobody foreign touch it, even get close to it. Because we know how detrimental that can be. We know how contagious energy is, and we know how toxic, unhealed, unrelenting energy can infect a whole house. How many people have been in a marriage where soon as that spouse comes home with that negative energy, that toxic energy, it's almost like the climate shifts, the entire building shifts. And you got to try to regulate that, but you living with somebody. So that's when they're living in the house with you. And there's no escape to that. You could do as many of them post-argument, drive to 7-Eleven for no reason and sit in the car as many times as you want to do that. You still got to go back home. And that's what, and that's where so many of people have been, just kind of trapped in that situation. You have to treat your psyche, your mind, like a physical house. And watch heart as well. Watch who you let up in there, because they can wreak havoc. You know as well as I do, you ain't inviting everybody to your damn housewarming. You know some people in your phone or in your family don't know how to act. Right? You got new furniture. You in a new neighborhood, nice neighborhood, quiet. Certain people you just not gonna hit. You know that. And there's a reason for that. So why let in somebody to your heart and mind who is excessively damaged and is not self-aware, not accountable, high-level defenses, narcissistic, any manipulator, gaslighter, all of these different things? Why are you letting that into your awareness or your energy sphere, right? I always tell people you got to treat it like Wakanda. You got to have that force field up. You got to have that force field up. And you open the grid only for people who reciprocate your energy and who measure up to the standard, and not just sitting at level 1 and having level 10 standards. I'm talking about elevating constantly as a single person, continuously, and letting people in who are doing the same. How many of you tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, how many times have you dated somebody who was stagnant? Dated somebody with a low ceiling? No matter how much you tried to influence them, no matter how much you tried to motivate them, no matter how much you tried to instill next levelism into them, or growth or evolution, they shot it down. Whether it was because of stats, odds, it's not gonna work. I never seen it work. I'm good where I'm at. I just want a regular job. I'm chilling. Nothing against regular jobs. I'm just saying them being in a space to not want to level up, knowing that they would enjoy life up there, but being captivated and controlled by fear so much that they shoot down all ideas of growth or evolution, right? Stagnant. So if you're elevating, you're growing, you're becoming the one to attract the one. You're becoming the one so the one can find you. If you're doing that and you meet somebody on level 1 and they post it, they getting all their mail forwarded to level 1. They're having all of their Uber Eats delivered to level 1. They brought one of them rollout beds. When you go to a hotel, let me get the extra bed that they just roll in. They had a roll in bed on level 1. They put the bed next to the charger, the outlet, so they could charge their phone. They good. They chilling right here. This is it. That's not attractive to someone who's rising. It's not. But the problem is we go down there and try to pull them up. That's dead weight, unless they want to ride with you. But if they don't, and they don't have that effort, no judgment, you can't drag dead weight. You can't drag a live body. I tried. One of them old CPR trainings. I tried to drag a joker in the training. I wasn't feeling that. I lift weights, but I wasn't feeling that. To do that every day, can you imagine dating somebody and you're literally a firefighter just that never gets off the clock? You dating somebody, y'all live together, you dragging them up the stairs, you dragging them out the car. Like, at some point you got to realize that a relationship doesn't have to be that much work. There should be foundations met. There should be a meeting of the basics of chemistry, communication, general vision, accountability, awareness, growth, evolution, these things, attachment to peace and prioritization of self and self-love and being reciprocal, self-care, right? This stuff you're going to learn, but this stuff we should come in with the bag filled already. We shouldn't be coming in with the empty bag. Like teach me how to be a partner, period, in general. There's classes for that. and I'm hosting all of them. So whoever needs that course, rap to me, talk to me, I got you. But that shouldn't be your responsibility as a partner. That shouldn't be your responsibility to bring somebody from ground all the way up. So the frustration, to address it, the goal should be to avoid the frustration. The general goal to work towards. And again, contact me for coaching. My website is under there as well. Link in the bio on Instagram at Happiness Decoded 101. If you need help with this process, but the end goal should be reaching a level of happiness and internal peace, and letting go to receive. If you have such a tight grip on control, your hands are not open to receive the blessing of the soulmate, of the one, of happiness, of all of these things, because you are so tightly gripped. You have to release, but in the process, to embrace the happiness around you, to acknowledge the consistent happiness around you, the blessings around you, the opportunities around you, the accolades, the accomplishments, the compliments, the access, the positivity, the opportunities, the love, the family, the friendships, the children. Like, I don't want nobody coming to me with the hyper focus on what's not there, but taking for granted everything that is. We got to shift the focus. That's one of the biggest things to learn, is we control our focus. Again, the fact that we have such a high level of fear of control, we have to focus on the things we do have control over and the things we do have access to. And that will help you to level up and continuously do so. And in that process, the goal is to hit that point where you could really, truly care less either way. And it may seem like a far way from where you are. It may seem like very difficult, like mad far, because you may feel like, damn, I gotta act like I ain't never gonna get it. I gotta get cool with that. But it's the way you truly know you're right on the right wavelength, because you have successfully developed, or at least reached. Now, maintaining it is another thing, and I can help with that as well. But you've at least reached that peak level of functioning, of peace, of happiness, of hopefulness, to where you're like, okay, and claiming as well. Because if you know something coming, you can kind of chill. If you know something coming, there's no anxiety. If you know something good's coming, there's no fear around that. It's already on the way. I liken it to when you quit a job that you hate and you give them those 2 weeks. Do you know how happy those 2 weeks are? I've been in this situation before. Those were the two best weeks ever, because you see the ending. In 2 weeks, you're out of there. You're free from that job. You don't have to deal with that anymore. You have a date, and it's set in stone. I'm getting off. I'm out. I never have to come to this job again. That 2 weeks is crucial. That's the most fun 2 weeks ever. You ain't even doing no work. You just in and out of people's rooms, cubicles. Hey, what's up? You want to take a 4-hour lunch break? Let's go. They can't fire me. I'm out. So let's go across the street. Let's go to the strip club. Come right back. You're gonna come right back. Anything. And it's almost instant that level of pressure gets relieved, because it's on the way. Cool. 2 weeks. Cool. So it's similar to this. Only difference is we don't have a date, but that doesn't matter, because if we're generating the happiness ourselves, we don't need no damn date, because you can care less either way. Remember, that's the goalpost, to where you are becoming the one, so that the one can find you. So, in essence, if you are the one already, you have no choice but to attract the one and ones, meaning these are elements. So it's not just the romantic elements that come with this, or a romantic situation. This is with friends too. This is, you will attract help, support, reciprocal friends, positivity. You will attract opportunities and things like that, goals, manifestations, things that aren't even related to the romantic sphere. Be prepared for that and be thankful and acknowledging of that as that unfolds for you. Focus on what you got and blow that the hell up. Put that on repeat. I drag blessing. I'll be thankful for stuff happened 10 years ago. When that rotates back into view, I'm like, damn, I ain't even deserve that. That was fire. I thank you, God. I did. You know what I mean? Thank you. And so, again, once you touch it, feel it, get to that zone, carry that. That's it. Because then the clock doesn't matter. Then the time frame doesn't matter. Because if you happy, you happy. That's the element. We're not looking for somebody to make us happy. We're making ourselves happy so that that person can find us, right? Because, again, we don't want to attach to somebody with all this happiness and all of this work we done and all of this overcoming and all of this triumph and all of this positivity and all of this growth, all this accountability, all of this evolution, all of this purpose, to attach that to somebody who's going to drain it and not provide anything. Or what's worse, create drama, anarchy, anxiety. I ain't do all of that for that. I ain't do all this growing to catch that or to deal with that. I ain't come here for all that. So, with that being the case, make sure that you're holding fast to your standards. And if you find yourself clock watching, tap into them blessings because they're there. And if you don't think they're there, I'll find them for you, because, it's about training yourself to stay in that zone. Stay in that zone. It's to shift the focus, realize you have more control than you think you do, and start exercising that upon self. If control is a thing, start using it. You control yourself. You control you. Because when you get in a toxic relationship, you're even more out of control, because that person's toxicity is controlling you, whether you know it or admit it or not. So you guys have a great night. Shout out to everybody in the room. I see Nancy, Dawn, Wilmer Black. What's up? I see y'all in the comments. What's going on? Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate y'all energy once again. And please stay tuned tomorrow night as well. I'm back on Clubhouse again, back here tomorrow night for another one. Have a great night. Be safe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.